surpluses of cherry tomatoes and some culinary herbs that we had growing. And so we went to the co-op and said, oh, we've got these cherry tomatoes. Do you want to buy any? And they bought them. And I went, whoa. And then over the years we planted a little more specifically to sell. And then I had my culinary herbs, which we made a solar dehydrator for the herbs. This is 1977. And then in 1978, somebody started a farmer's market in Santa Barbara, the first one. And so we started selling at the market, just the surplus from the garden. And that's why the farm that I have is kind of designed like a garden. It's very diverse. I said that, we had 100 things. I just can't resist planting everything that I like. And then people ask for things, plant that. People bring me seeds, could you plant this? So it kind of evolved that way, unintentional, just took its own shape.
What's your daily routine like?
Well, I get up before everybody else and I crack my toes and do some stretching, because that's important. And then I creep out of the house before everybody else gets up, because I have a wife and children in the house. And okay.
That was a great answer for this helicopter.
Uh-huh. Hey, Micah, are you taking off?
Not this second.
Oh, okay.
Get ready.
Okay. Thanks for your help with the kids.
Oh yeah, no problem.
All right, buddy. One year we did, there's a TV show called The Victory Garden, and they go around to farms and they film the farms and interview the farmer and get a lot of specifics on garden technique, as well as just show people that are doing, kind of carving their gardens out of their little niche, which our farm in Carpinteria, which you saw, it's like terraced hillside. It's not your normal kind of farm, but we just have the terraces. And when we were there, when I was living there, we had every terrace planted just perfectly. So it looked really nice. And I was being interviewed, and the guy kept flubbing the interview, and so it was kind of a pain. He kept saying the wrong thing. We'd have to do another take, and it got to be no longer spontaneous, and it made it difficult.
He wanted you to say something precisely so he knew he was going to cut it together for the show.
Yeah, right.
Forcing it out of you.
And he kept mixing up Camarillo and Carpinteria. And he's going, okay, now walk here. And so I'd walk out there, and here we are, high in the hills of Camarillo. Wait, stop, cut, And I'd go back, and I'd walk along. And he did it about 5 times. And then he'd, stumble in his delivery, and probably actually did it about 15 times.
Okay, so we'll go back to that question.
Okay.
What's your daily routine like?
The daily routine is getting up early before the sun usually, and definitely before my family, because I try not to disturb them as I crack my toes and stretch my back and legs and creep across the squeaky floorboards and try to get out of the house without waking anyone up. And then before the workers even arrive, I really enjoy surveying the farm, getting an idea of where things are at in the still of morning. It's a time, contemplative time, and a good time to really get perspective on the whole farm and the progress, the problems. So when everybody arrives, I'm ready to direct them. So that's the ritual. Then I go back to the house, wake up my kids, make breakfast, clean the kitchen, and usher them off to school, which is 4 minutes away, which is great, because then I can be back and get going with the farm. Because really my family is of greater importance even than the farm. And then the relations with my workers are also important. So I want to make sure I have equanimity and a good, peaceful disposition so that when things go wrong, I can orient everybody and get things back on the right track without freaking out. And
What's the harvest, or what's the season like this
well, we have a 12-month growing season here, although we do have winter that does get down below freezing, at least anywhere from 30 to 80 nights out of the winter. And this year it's a drought year, which we have periodically. Beautiful, sunny every day and cold at night. And so we still get harvest. During the winter we grow greens. Because we have our other farm in Carpinteria, we're able to plant a lot of the cool weather crops during the summer when it's too hot to grow them in Ojai. So in Ojai we grow summer vegetables and summer herbs. And then at that time we have our broccoli and lettuce and radicchio growing in Carpinteria.
When and why did you start participating in farmers markets?
Well, as I had said, we had our garden going, and somebody who we knew really well who had a small farm and planted an orchard and was kind of one of the older ringleaders of organic gardening and small-scale farming in the Santa Barbara area. He started a farmer's market, and it was the first one that I knew of anywhere. I'd never even heard of the concept. And this was 1978, and we had one small one in Isla Vista, and then the next one was at the Santa Barbara Mission, and then the next one was in the parking lot of the Santa Barbara County Bowl, where it lasted for some months or maybe even a year before it moved to the parking lot of Santa Barbara High School. And so we got into it right from the start. And we would bike cart a little caravan of gardeners from Isla Vista to Santa Barbara with pulling bicycle carts full of our produce, flowers, cherry tomatoes, the herbs, our table, and it was just so much fun. And I was hooked. That was the way to go. You get to deal directly with people, with the consumers, and be part of a community and share your joy of farming, your joy of life, because there's a lot of joy in it. Usually when things go wrong, you're at the farm and your frustration has an outlet and you just bear down, and by the time you get out to the public and you've got all your beautiful produce, that's the best of the best and is the smiling face of your farm. And so you present that, and that brings joy and appreciation from the people that you're supplying the food to, or flowers. And so it really brings out the best in everybody. And the energy level gets picked up, and it becomes a celebration of life, and as well as a culinary celebration. So there's so many dimensions to it, way beyond simply feeding people.
Could you kind of talk about those different dimensions that you mentioned?
Well, we certainly have a symbiotic relationship with the community, and the people that come to the market, most of them. Every so often you get somebody who just wants their stuff and wants to go, but in general, people are so happy that we're dedicating our lives to providing them with food and recipes and health tips and jokes, and they get to see you and your family and get to know you completely. You know, I've always taken all my kids to the market. My wife comes sometimes, and they've known us for the whole time. And so we know them when their kids are around, they bring them to the market. It's just one big family. It's like a family reunion every Tuesday afternoon, Saturday morning, Sunday morning.
Could you talk about the relationships that you have with restaurants in Santa Barbara?
Well, because we have this 100 varieties of things and all the oddball things and are willing to plant herbs or vegetables that they're interested in, we have a really good relationship with the restaurants. The Tuesday afternoon and Saturday morning markets are both downtown within walking distance of, I don't know, 100 restaurants. And many of them come to the market rather than buying food from distributors who do the best they can, and sometimes are able to bring in things that the farmers can't grow. But this is the era of California cuisine, which is buying what's local and in season. And so they're part of this whole renaissance.